Hello, Aries. Sun, Moon, and Rising March is going to rock your world as the final touches of an eclipse cycle that began in 2023 come to a grand finale and change something in your life to do with your home, your career, or your long-term love story that is fated and destined. Some of those changes may have already occurred through 2023-24, but if there's any lingering changes needed, this is the month for you as we have a grand finale eclipse in the sign of Aries. Also, this is a particularly important month for you because we have the actions of Venus retrograding through your sign in a way she hasn't done since 2017. To say this month is chock-a-block and busy is a deep understatement, especially for the Aries folk. So please settle in and let's tell you some sky stories. Now, before I begin, just know that if you're interested in taking my Venus retrograde class, it starts on March 1st, runs to April 12th, and it's quite affordable. Check the description box below for the details for that course. It would be perfect for you, of all people, given that retrograde is happening through your sign, to jump on board and join me. So hopefully you'll see this video before March the 1st. Now let's get going and talk all about the sky. I'm going to show you the sky, but before I do you know who I am? Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac whole sign houses, and everyone knows that fixed stars and minor asteroids are my cup of tea. So today we're talking mostly just about the main planets. We also have an eclipse coming through in Virgo. So we have two eclipses this month, and it's a big deal. We'll talk about that as we show you the sky. I go in chronological order through the month, and therefore it is useful for you to take some notes if you want to keep this as a reference for the month ahead and have these times and dates handy. And here we have the sky. End of story. Beautiful sky, right? Your rising ascendant is placed here as Aries 0 ascendant, but you can listen for your sun or moon. Your sun sign is career and purpose. Your moon can be home and your emotional needs and domestic issues. But of course, the rising sign is the character you play in the simulation or the matrix called life. All right, so what I want to notice here for you to begin the month is I'm going to, in chronological order, of course, tell you everything, but I want you to be aware of, I want you to pull the lens back a bit for a minute with me, just pull the lens back and get the big picture for a second. I want you to remember that you have been under a once every 18-year eclipse cycle throughout 2023 and 24. And that is the eclipses moving through the Libra and the Aries axis. And if you go back to April of 23, there was an eclipse at 29 Aries, and April 8th of 2024, an eclipse at 19, total eclipse at 19 Aries. And now we're going to have an eclipse coming up this month at the very end. Okay, we'll talk about it around 9 degrees of Aries. The reason I'm bringing this up is that this last eclipse is going to help you complete things that were in process if you haven't yet understood what the wave of eclipses wanted for you. And part of that is anytime we see eclipses in the first house with the South Node traveling the 7th, it could have indicated new business partnerships or new long-term love relationships emerging with the nodes of fate indicating destined love stories. And if there's any last things to go on here and you haven't met someone, you still could, but also there may be some changes needed in any long-term love stories that began under an eclipse cycle on a grand finale eclipse. So keep the backdrop in mind. Just so you know, Venus is moving through your sign. She'll be moving through Aries from February 4th. Yay, Venus retrograding on March the 1st. Yay, Venus. And then March 27th, backpedaling into the sign of Pisces. So there's a lot of her energy that precedes your month. You're coming into March already having felt the Venus and Aries transit beginning on February 4th. So you're accustomed to her. You've got her vibe, and she's trying to make you more understand your values, what you want and a desire to have in your life, how you want to appear. I've changed my wardrobe. I'm an Aries sun and moon, and I've got a bunch of new clothes that I'm all drawn to blue lately. And I even changed my backdrop. So the aesthetic of me, the aesthetic of you, what does it feel like to be you, and how does being you and being beautiful inside and out feel? So the question is there, the answers are there. Venus is helping you work on it. And she's going to be doing a lot of in and out of the sign of Aries because of a retrograde back to Pisces. So I cannot cover that in this video. I'll have other content on YouTube all about it. And I already have put out a Venus retrograde video. So let's go ahead and talk about the chronological order. March 1st to March the 8th, it's kind of a sweet little week. We see the sun squaring Jupiter in the first 3 or 4 days, and Sun Jupiter square, like the first, second, third. It usually opens up a time in our lives where we feel, wow, Why am I in April? Go back a month. Sorry about that. Let's move us to the right week, at least, right? The right moment and time. All right, good enough. Software doth beguile me. As we begin the month, we can see that the sun in Pisces is in a square to Jupiter. Jupiter, a benefic, means something good is trying to happen for your life regarding far off foreign shore land and travel, prosperity and financial bounty through international income and revenue, or an opportunity to study or learn from a teacher. And in this regard, it may be a teacher that can connect you to foreign shores and foreign lands. And also good things may be going on in the life of a sibling one younger, and they're experiencing some bounty. Also, as we move through this part of our sky now, we also notice that around the second and third, Mercury is in a conjunction to Neptune. And Mercury-Neptune conjunctions are very dreamy. And this is a very subtle place. This is where you can go for a hypnosis session. I got a great guy, Shane Robinson, for quantum healing hypnosis. Email me on my contact form on YouTube and I'll get you in touch, because I would probably do this for myself. This is great for meditation, hypnosis, and deep and profound messages from your dreams. It's also really good for a kind of creative energy where suddenly some amazing creative ideas come to you, channeling the angels, getting in touch with deep spiritual awareness and power, Mercury fusing with Neptune here. So that's a beautiful dreamy vision board, collaging. All of that looks really good on you around the second and third of the month. On the 5th of the month, that same Mercury moving forward comes into a sextile to Pluto. And those two, let me move us forward. We got to get them across the boundary. Those two in a flow are very good for information that excavates something that you didn't know, like understanding something in a new way, getting information or news from an ally, benefactor, elder sibling. These are Plutonian 11th house people. And whatever this is, Mercury is the mind in the house of you. So your mind is now aware of something or able to perceive or penetrate something like X-ray vision, and you can really grasp or grok or get it. Something is like, how do you understand something in a new way? There's a big energy around revelation and newfound depth of perception. And it could come through emails and phone calls, but it's also your mind around the 5th of the month. On the 7th and 8th, as we move forward, that Pisces sun is going to trine Mars. Now, a Pisces sun trining Mars, what could it offer this world that we could use? So 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, you're going to feel it building up. You're looking at Mars at direct motion since February 23rd. He'll be in your 4th house of homeland, property, and real estate all the way through in domestic private life till April 18th. So this sun is trying to support Mars, who's in a place of difficulty. He's in a condition called his fall. You might be trying to make some decisions about moving your home, changing your home, renovating your home, constructing your home, having changes in who lives with you in your home. The sun is in a place to do with aloneness and solitude, and there may be a deep pursuit of solitude going on here at this time, or a call for some kind of shift in the home connected to distant shores and lands, or people from distant shores and lands. But whatever it is, you're preoccupied with actions and decisions connected to the thing called where you live, your home itself, and those with whom you live. Now, as we move forward into our future, March the 8th to the 14th. It's pretty quiet, March the 8th to the 11th. So you're going to have a nice little pocket of sort of soft sky, not a lot's going on March 8th to the 11th. You can take a relaxation pill, But as we approach the 11th, we begin to build towards the sun coming into a conjunction to Saturn, meaning they'll become unified in your 12th house. Now, Saturn is what is real, what is tangible, what is determined, what is hard, what is realistic. And the sun is, of course, in dreamy Pisces, all mystical and magical. But if you want to look at the positive side of this, something that may have felt difficult to do with addictions or self-undoing can have a big spotlight on it, especially with Neptune there. And you might be able to sort of have an illumination of things that undo you. On a practical note, though, sun can be a father figure with Saturn, an elder father figure. Now, when I say father figure, it could be your uncle, it could be, the old man down the street that you're really good friends with. Is some elder male figure in hospital setting energy wise is what I could call that on a realistic note, with a sextile to Uranus indicating surprise, but also money. So there's a possibility here of an unexpected surprise around financial matters connected to that kind of situation, or someone could be in a hospital setting, just as a possibility. Otherwise, you may have an unexpected it's a positive surprise. Uranus is on the well star Algol, sextile spring Venusian prosperity, and your 12th house is things you worked hard for in a visionary way that you could create income from long distance, foreign lands, borders, and international shores. Anyone who does digital income and revenue, you know what I'm talking about. And in a way, with Mars in a broad sextile to Uranus, it creates a bit of a grace triangle or talent triangle. And you may have some very exciting developments financially connected to real estate opportunities and the word distant shores or far off places. So that's exciting. Now, the total lunar eclipse at 23 degrees of Virgo happens on the 14th of the month. A total lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo, let's put it up for us to take a peek at it, right? Roughly there on the 14th. The moon is going to turn red. It is opposite the sun. The moon is in the sign of health. It is in the house of health. There is going to be a big illumination middle of March on health matters. Now, an eclipse is a full moon that reveals what was hidden under the eerie red glow of an eclipsed moon. So there can be literally some kind of, new way of perceiving health and wellness, especially around self-inflicted health challenges or the way you undo your own self health-wise. So that's not a bad thing. Now it's the work house, the pet's house. A full moon can illuminate in its eerie red eclipsed nature something that wants to change, that's destined to do with your work, that's fated to do with your work. And the moon itself rules the 4th house, and there may be a change of home connected to work as well, bringing something forward, not on the day of the eclipse, March 14th, but over the 6 months that follow. Lunar eclipses can often be felt up to 1 month before and up to 6 months after. If you wanted to get a pet and you've been prevaricating, there may be a full lunation that brings a destined animal your way, a soulmate, an animal of choice. I didn't have the nodes in there for some reason, but let's put the nodes in there. I know a lot of you go, where are the South and North node? Lori is doing her first video today, and so she's not as on her game as she normally would be. If I ever am on my game. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that bell for notification and all that jazz. It does help my channel grow. And I just appreciate you guys. I just hit over 100,000 subscribers. I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. And it's a proximity of the moon to the node that makes it so full and total and blood red. The closer the nodes are to the actual moon or sun in an eclipse, you'll see that energy play out. All right, now it gets very busy at the end of the month. So let's try to break it down because we're aiming for that eclipse on, coming up at the end of the month as well, the March 29th eclipse. Woo, in Aries. We have also to just recount this idea of a retrograde Venus before I go forward. Already retrograde March 1st, right? Station's retrograde March 1st at 10 degrees of Aries. If your Aries sun, moon are rising close to 10 degrees, then you're really going to be feeling this energy. And this is very much like the 2017 feeling of January through June, when Venus spent a lot of time in Aries and Pisces back and forth during that cycle. So keep it in mind already. It could be somewhat useful to you. Now, on March the 15th, just around the time of this incredibly important lunar eclipse in your 6th house, and you can compare eclipse cycles, FYI. I'll be doing a whole video on this, but 18 years ago, you had eclipses in the 6th house, 12th house axis. So that would be 2007, 8, and 9 kind of thing. But also, I want you to be aware that Mercury will station retrograde on March the 15th. Mercury stationing retrograde on March the 15th is going to be something that you've been ideating, thinking about, wanting to communicate, or mentally have been pondering. Mercury thought he knew which direction to go, right? He came in direct motion, right? He was moving forward. He knows what he wants, right? He's got this. And now he's like, oh, maybe not, because on March 3rd, he entered into Aries. And then by the time we get to the 15th, he's changing his mind or rethinking something and going back to Pisces, where he'll cross that boundary around March the 30th. So there's something going on where you may have thought you knew which idea to run with, or what, what you wanted to communicate in a certain situation. It could be with a significant long-term love partner, to career matters, communicate with someone around home-based matters. But now there's a sort of revision or a thinking, well, I'm going to go back and get something straightened out first. So don't worry about it. But March 15th to April 7th, Mercury is retrograde. And he says he starts to retrograde in your sign. This is literally not a great time for you to jump ahead on any ideas you have without giving it time to be rethought. And I'll be doing a whole video on that. So moving forward, as we get out of this time of the month where we see the energy of the eclipse and the Mercury retrograde station, then we move into the future here, and we go into around the 14th, the 22nd of the month. Now, it's just one of the more busy skies. It's like no way I can break it down into every little detail. We'd be here for 2 hours, but I am going to do my best for each sign today as I go through this month ahead reading to give you some of the highlights. So I've moved us forward now to the 16th of the month, and I'll go back to the 15th of the month. And you'll notice that the Sun and Neptune are becoming one, not quite, but going to be. And of course, I lost your sign. That's always going to happen when I try to spin the wheel. So I apologize. There's nothing I can do about this. It is a function of software. But if you want to notice that on the 17th, the Sun is becoming closer to the North Node and closer to Neptune. And there's a stellium building here. And by the 27th of March, we have everybody hanging out in Pisces, and it's going to weight your sky. And because the 12th house is already about solitude, you're going to notice that as the Sun is getting closer to Neptune, the 17th, 18th, 19th, that there's something going on for you that has to do with your alone, solitudinous time. Saturn is loving the solitude there, Aries, but also this essential feeling that you need to shed a light on some destined, imaginal, visionary, but also realistic, make your dreams real plan. Again, for you, hypnosis is great. All of the month of March, vision boarding, dreaming at night, paying attention, doing your meditations, whatever. Don't be afraid to spend time alone in March. It will be very good for you as an Aries. And as we look at this energy, we'll also notice that Venus is going to enter the fray as we go closer to the 20th. And the reason is in retrogradation, Venus will cross that threshold out of the sign of Aries and become more available to the Pisces narrative. So we're kind of waiting for Venus to join this fray. Look at that March 27th story. Does that not blow you away? Does not blow you away? What is that? You're probably asking yourself, right? That is a pileup, a stellium, a parade of planets. So everything about March, as we build for that March 29th eclipse, draws your attention to the Pisces sky and what it is for. What is it for that you have that pileup in this part of the heavens? Now, we lose Neptune on March the 31st, but we're going to do a whole video on that. But you'll notice this window here is like incredibly powerful. And, when Neptune leaves on March 30th, that's fine. But we still have such an incredible array. Neptune leaves and then Mercury swaps in. So I want you to really pay attention to how you will imagine, dream at night, meditate, vision board, shamanic journey, your way to success. Use your imagination. Read Neville Goddard's Awakened Imagination, As a Man Thinketh, The Game of Life and How to Play It by Florence Scovel Shinn. Take your pick, because this vibration of this energy is allowing you to harness your Akashic records, your past lives, the deepest essence of your soul. Your enlightenment house is lit up. Full-on enlightenment happens in the 12th house. During all of this, Pluto gets his little mucky paws in the mix as well. Pluto wants to play. Pluto's having fun. Look at that one. Pluto is sextiling Venus on March the 26th. That's a wealth union. It's a flow between a planet of riches and the goddess of money, but it's also deeper than that. Venus is, how do you love yourself? How do you value yourself? And Pluto says, what riches can you find in your work, in your career gains, in the support of people who wish to stand up and be your ally to benefit you in some way? So there's a kind of karmic and cosmic reward, ka-ching, ka-ching in some way, trying to show you the way. And as Venus does this sextile to Pluto, Be aware that this is a second of 3 such activations, which is why if you take my Venus retrograde class, you'll be able to tap into each one. And the Isis asteroid and other asteroids that are playing with Venus in the sky is so powerful. The fertility goddess is playing with Venus as well. Isis is the floods the Nile River and brings great fertility to your health, to your wellness, to your life. So it's beautiful, it's glorious. And then, of course, Mercury's doing the same sextile, Mercury, Pluto, penetrating insight, deep ideas, Venus. Really, you can only say that you are on some kind of game of self-love, and your ideas are quite generative of wealth and career gains at this point in your story. So the last week of March is exceptional. I don't even know how else to say it. Around the 24th, to the 31st. Okay. There's one big long thing going on, March 24th to the 31st. Saturn is having a conversation with Uranus. And Uranus, he's like shock and awe and surprises. And he's on Algol, which is a well start, but Saturn is steady as she goes, determined, forbearant, take your time, everything, all good things ripen in time. But yet he's activating this positive development in your financial well-being, or a breakthrough in a dietary habit or addiction or self-undoing, because you put stuff in your mouth in the second house, and Saturn's in the house of self-undoing. And you may have a real turning point breakthrough and be able to stabilize some sort of self-undoing addiction or bad habit. But on the financial front, this is positive, because not only is Uranus going to have this all month, 24th to the 31st flow to Saturn, but also Venus will enter into the sign of Pisces and support this electrical current to benefit you on the money front. So by the time we get to the 27th to the 31st, Venus says yes. And how? Money from a foreign place, a foreign person, a foreign situation, all this trine energy to Mars is like, and then what? And then you're able to move your home, buy a home, change your home, beautify your home, make decisions and take actions that are lucrative and benefiting you, connected to your home. I mean, we get a mini trine forming here. Take a look. Like sudden exciting developments connected to changing of your home, building a home, making decisions that are important in the home, connected to deep spiritual attainment, creative reverie, but also financial gain. Anyone here who makes money overseas, international company you work for, maybe your employer is in another country, maybe you are like me, digital income, borderless revenue. This is a beautiful time in your sky. So looking for you to enjoy that. What about the eclipse? What about the eclipse? What about the eclipse? So this is a little complicated bit of an eclipse on March the 29th, which is here, because not only is the sun and moon conjunct at 9 degrees of Aries, but the node of fate is in the 12th house. And that means simply this: there's something going on here in this type of eclipse, which is a partial or hybrid eclipse, that you're wanting to reset a button. And if your Aries sun, moon, or rising is anywhere between, 5 and 14 degrees, maybe, you're really feeling, or 5 and 13 degrees, you're really feeling this need for a reset in your life and a new beginning in your identity, or your sun, your career, your rising, your identity, your moon, your home. You want a change of home. You want a change of a career. You want a change of identity, but you're pulling from destined factors in the 12th house. Those are your Akashic records and your deep soul work. And that is also people and places and things connected to distant shores and far off lands. With Mars in a flow to the north node of the 12th, some of you may choose to relocate a home to another country, to a far off place, to a distant land. Jupiter in your third house still until June the 9th would allow for international travel that could connect to temporary residences in other countries, like getting a visa to spend time, do a digital nomad, spend some time abroad. That story looks very possible here as well. And Jupiter is there in your third house of the website, your commerce, your travel, your learning and teaching, giving you great bounty there until June the 9th. But remember, then he blesses your home and private life, including lucky things happening June the 9th, out a year, connected to home and land and property and real estate. Nothing to complain about there. All right. Well, that's what I've got for you, Aries. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. It helps the channel grow. And if it grows, I keep going here. And then if I keep going, we all benefit because we'll be having more content. And I got some weird light, but I'm just going to live with it. It's a cloudy day in Vancouver. Normally I have more light in my living room, but I'm stuck with it. See, that's better. I just need to put a hat on. All right. Thanks, guys. Ciao, ciao.